My name is Thomas Koshy. I belong to the Salesians of Don Bosco in the Roman Catholic Church. I was born in the state of Kerala in a place called Munnar. My parents were Joseph Koshy and Rose Koshy, and they were both employed in the tea company that used to be there. And all in all, it was a very happy time that I had as a child. And later, as I grew up, I was in the high school in the plains, in a place called Alapi in Kerala, in a Jesuit school and boarding. And then later, I came to know about the Salesians, more or less at the same time, and the kind of work the Salesians are doing for the young people and children. And also the person of Don Bosco certainly was very attractive. The way he kind of cared for the young and gave all his life for the young. So this pulled me from the Jesuit school to the Salesians. And I joined after high school the Salesians so-called aspirant tent. That is where the young kids go who have some kind of a thought of becoming a priest or joining that society. Well, going there was still more of a happy time. I enjoyed being there, the kind of care the Salesians gave to the children, and particularly all of us who were there were treated with a lot of love, kindness, and also respect. This made me kind of firm up my mind to follow that path and become a Salesian. That was in the year 1969. So this is the 50th year of my becoming a Salesian. I had the opportunity, my contemporaries were very deeply involved in social action and social service. So this attracted me, and I used to go to a village of former bonded laborers. There were stone cutters, and they were in bondage, and then through the intervention of my seniors, they were freed and they were on their own, and they could do their work, and they could become their own masters. They were no more under the bondage. So I had this great joy of joining this team and working with those people. It was a great experience, and I did learn a lot from those people, more than I could give them. They did give me a lot more, and it was a very powerful kind of an experience in my life. And my choice was to continue working in similar areas. And when I finished my theology, I was ordained a priest in 1980, in June 1980. And again, I was fortunate to be sent to a home for the physically challenged children in Andhra Pradesh, in a place called Mangalagiri in the district of Guntur. And I had an excellent mentor there, Father Thomas Chinappa, who founded this home for physically challenged children and orphans. Very, very strong, motivating kind of an experience that I had there. At the end of that year, I was asked to move to a village parish in what is now Telangana, in Nalgonda district, a village called Bhimanapalli, in a parish, to be a co-pastor with another friend of mine, Father Sebastian. We spent 4 years there in the parish, looking after the spiritual needs of the people, as well as course, taking care of the needs of the young people. So we kind of were able to motivate a lot of young children to pursue their studies and not drop out, and give a little push to those who are reluctant to go to school, not for anything else, but for the fact they didn't have enough money. So we could couple up a little here and there, buy books for them or buy a pair of clothes for them. That was enough. And today all those young people, boys and girls, are well placed in society, having finished their studies in college and working as teachers and other professions. And after 4 years, we particularly were keen on taking the poorer children from a poorer family economic background. And then that was a 3-year period. I was asked to move to Vijayawada. It is while being there that we started this work for the street children. The community and a member in the community for the Roy was asked to initiate this. And after a couple of years, it was handed over to me. So I used to be a parish priest as well as trying to work with the children on the street. We had already put up this shelter for children, an open shelter, at the invitation of the Municipal Corporation of Vijayawada itself. And in that work grew, and we had several thousands rescued from the street. And then we kind of were able to motivate many of them to join school, and that did happen. And also take the child back home if the child was willing and the home was a good place to go back to. And we were able to trace the homes and restore to parents over 25,000 children in the period that I was there, from 92 to 2014, and educate or give vocational training to over 15,000. This again was a very, very deep experience for me, working with such children, and the kind of the history they had, the reasons why they were on the street, very touching experiences. And every time a child was rescued from the street to either to come to the camp for motivation or join school was a great celebration for all of us, because that was all actually we wanted. Or the child was restored to his or her parents. This experience of working with children who were on the street was something very, very special, and very it has gone into my, what shall I say, my bloodstream. And every time I see a child on the street, I always feel the urge to go and to rescue the child, and then somehow get that he could be living a normal life, enjoy childhood like every other child, and grow up to be a responsible citizen of this country. So that's the kind of a feeling I always get when I see a child on the street. Well, working with these children, again, one had to be aware of the fact that they have been through extremely difficult situations and experiences, been traumatized or victims of violence and so forth. You can any number of reasons. And so the child comes, and then you accept him with open arms, and then after a while the child might decide to leave. And we never put a stop if he wants to leave. He was free to leave. But if he comes back again, he returns, he was always welcomed with open arms like before. Because we always thought that his turning back was always a positive step. But for a change, we cannot put our limits or so the number of times one could come back, because just think of someone who falls sick, recovers, then there is a relapse. Do we say that, okay, the sickness has come again, therefore we should not treat? So that was a kind of approach that we had for the children. Anytime the child was ready to come back, he was always welcome. Well, working with these children from the streets or rescuing children from child labor, this was successfully done, was possible because we had an excellent team. Everyone who worked in this team worked with not as an employment but as a service. Of course, they needed their salary to look after themselves and their families, but their dedication was a huge kind of positive energy that was brought into the work. And as also, I should say, in Vijayawada, we had this work. We had other colleagues who were doing the same work, like late Dr. Manihara, who founded SKCV Children's Trust, or Noel Harper, who founded Care and Share. And these two and a few others, very especially these two, were excellent colleagues in the work. And so we could share with each other our experiences and support each other. This was something very, very special. And we kind of able to come together and meet the mayor of the city, who was an excellent man for the people, who was a freedom fighter, Mr. Venkateswara Rao. And we put this idea across about the corporation coming in a big way to support this work, because there were hundreds of children on the street in Vijayawada itself. It's not hundreds, a few thousands. So then he took it up, and then we could come together, rally around him as a head leader of the city, and introduce a forum for child rights, bringing in NGOs and government relevant departments into this, like the police, the women and child, the labor department, and so forth. Everyone under one umbrella called the Forum for Child Rights. This was a great achievement. I should acknowledge the very positive role in this and leadership that our mayor then took up. Also, the other NGO colleagues who were so much team builders. So that is an amazing kind of thing that happened in '97. And we were fortunate to be recognized by the government for this work with the street children. In the '96 award for child welfare, the National Award for Child Welfare, we were one of the recipients given by the then President, Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma. Well, we from Vijayawada, after being there for nearly 25 years, I was asked to take up the current responsibility of the Don Bosco National Forum for Young at Risk. And this forum connects all our Don Bosco's works, interventions with the children at risk, whether street children, child labor, or abandoned children, or children who are victims of abuse or trafficked or whatever way they had been at risk. All these children come under this category of children at risk, and so Well, working with the children was a great joy and very satisfying. And at the same time, it was not all a bed of roses. We had our good share of troubles and problems, more created by external forces than real. But then they became problems, like it cannot be always, everyone sees it positively. There are also people who would try to put hurdles, even try to break. So all good works are not always taken up by everyone as good. For example, the work with the child laborers, the employer will not be happy that if a child is rescued from his clutches, because he becomes a loser. And then in addition to that cut on his earnings, he could also be booked against on this child labor, and so that becomes a problem, and therefore we become their enemies. So these sort of problems were also there along the way, but ultimately good prevails over what is bad, and that's been very sure. The light and love is more powerful than hate and darkness. And that has been ultimately the experience from all this. And finally, looking around at what's happening today, what I would really sort of share with the young people of today is that we need to be concerned about others, especially those who are less fortunate than ourselves. If we are able to have a feeling for them and take them as our own brothers and sisters, the scenario will change. And we would certainly have a much healthier society, and where very young people, very especially, would be able to live a very good and happy childhood and a happy life as they grow up. And this is what I would want to share with my brothers and sisters who are still young and growing up with a lot of idealism. Convert this idealism into action.